Vietnam's history is a story of resilience, resistance, and remarkable transformation. From its early days as a kingdom, through centuries of foreign domination, to the emergence of one of the most dynamic nations in Southeast Asia today, Vietnam's history is a tale that defies expectations and captivates the world. But beyond the headlines of war and revolution, there lies a rich, complex heritage shaped by its people, culture, and an indomitable spirit that has endured for over 2,000 years. Vietnam's journey begins in the early days of the Red River Valley, where civilization first took root around 2,000 years ago. This fertile land saw the rise of the first Vietnamese kingdom, the Van Lang Kingdom. At the time, the region was already home to diverse ethnic groups, and the ancient Vietnamese were developing unique traditions and innovations that would lay the foundation for their future. As these early societies grew, they came into contact with their northern neighbor, China. The Chinese influence was profound, shaping everything from government structure to religion and philosophy. However, the Vietnamese never fully accepted foreign rule. This tension between independence and foreign domination would become a constant theme throughout Vietnam's history. Around 1000 BCE, the first Vietnamese kingdom, ruled by the Hung kings, flourished. These kings were believed to be descendants of Lac Long Quan and Ao Co, two legendary figures in Vietnamese mythology. Under their rule, the kingdom began to develop a distinct identity centered on agriculture, craftsmanship, and trade. But despite their success, the Hung kings' rule was destined to come under pressure from foreign forces to the north. In 111 BCE, Vietnam's fate was altered forever when the region was annexed by the Han dynasty of China. What followed was centuries of Chinese rule, a period of oppression that would ignite waves of resistance. The Vietnamese people, however, were never passive subjects. Time and again, they rose up against their Chinese rulers, the most famous of these revolts being the uprising of the Trung sisters in 40 CE. The Trung sisters, Trung Trac and Trung Ni, led a rebellion that briefly freed Vietnam from Chinese control. They rallied local tribes, fought fiercely, and even managed to take the capital. Yet, despite their initial success, they were eventually defeated by the superior Chinese military. However, their rebellion became a symbol of national pride and resistance, sparking centuries of efforts to reclaim independence. It wasn't until the 10th century that Vietnam would finally shake off Chinese control for good. After over 1,000 years of subjugation, a series of powerful leaders emerged, the most notable of whom was Ngo Quyen. In 938 CE, Ngo Quyen decisively defeated the Chinese at the Battle of Bac Giang River, a victory that ended Chinese attempts to dominate Vietnam and restored the country's independence. This victory marked the beginning of a new era for Vietnam, one where local dynasties would rise and fall, but Vietnam would remain free from foreign domination for centuries to come. The Jai Viet Kingdom, established by the Ngo dynasty, would set the stage for a golden age in Vietnamese history. For the next several hundred years, Vietnam enjoyed periods of relative stability under various dynasties. During the Le dynasty, 1009 to 1225, the capital was moved to Thăng Long, modern-day Hanoi, and Buddhism became a dominant force in Vietnamese culture. Under the Tran dynasty, 1225 to 1400, Vietnam successfully repelled multiple Mongol invasions, cementing the Vietnamese reputation for resilience. However, the rise and fall of these dynasties were not without internal strife, as powerful families often vied for control. Yet, it was the Tran dynasty that forged a legacy of national pride by defeating one of the most formidable military forces in history. As the Tran dynasty weakened, Vietnam fell into a period of turmoil. This opened the door for the emergence of the Le dynasty, which would eventually lead Vietnam into a golden age of expansion and cultural development. The Le dynasty also laid the foundation for a long-lasting centralized bureaucracy, which helped sustain the growth of Vietnam's agriculture and economy. However, the internal struggles of the Le dynasty would give rise to a new challenge: the arrival of European traders and missionaries. The Portuguese first arrived in the early 16th century, followed by the French. The influence of Western powers in Vietnam would have far-reaching consequences, eventually leading to the French colonization of Vietnam in the mid-19th century. Under French rule, Vietnam endured a period of profound economic and social upheaval. The French implemented a system of exploitation that extracted resources and forced labor from the Vietnamese people. Education, while improved in some areas, was designed to create a class of loyal French-speaking elites. rather than to empower the general population. Despite these hardships, the French period also saw the rise of nationalist movements that would set the stage for Vietnam's independence. Revolutionary leaders, including Ho Chi Minh, emerged during this time, calling for the end of colonial rule and the creation of a free and independent Vietnam. The 20th century would bring both the hope for independence and the horror of war. Following World War II, Vietnam's fight for freedom escalated into the First Indochina War. In 1954, after years of bloody resistance, the French were decisively defeated at the Battle of Dien Bien Phu. This victory not only marked the end of French colonial rule, but also set the stage for the division of Vietnam into two countries: North Vietnam, led by Ho Chi Minh and the Communists, and South Vietnam, supported by the United States and other Western powers. The Vietnam War, as it came to be known, would become one of the most tragic and divisive conflicts of the 20th century. For nearly 2 decades, Vietnam was torn apart by a brutal war that caused immense loss of life and suffering. Yet, despite the devastation, the Vietnamese people's resolve never faltered. By 1975, North Vietnam emerged victorious, reunifying the country under communist rule. The aftermath of the Vietnam War left the country devastated. The economic toll was immense, and the nation faced a long road to recovery. Yet, over the decades, Vietnam has rebuilt itself, transforming into one of the fastest-growing economies in Asia. The scars of war are still visible, but Vietnam today stands as a symbol of resilience and triumph against seemingly insurmountable odds. Vietnam's journey through history has been one of survival, resistance, and rebirth. From the ancient days of the Vân Lang Kingdom to the struggles of the 20th century, and now to its place in the modern world, Vietnam's story is a testament to the enduring power of culture, identity, and unity. Through the hardships and triumphs, the Vietnamese people have shown the world that, no matter the odds, they will always rise again. Thank you for taking this journey through Vietnam's remarkable history with us. From ancient kingdoms to the modern-day triumphs of a nation rebuilt, Vietnam's legacy is one of strength, resilience, and hope. Stay tuned to Footprints of History for more captivating tales from the past. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure through history.